Alex Hogan joins us now from the outskirts of Tel Aviv. Alex?
Hi, good morning. I'm in Bat Yam, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv, where there has been widespread damage after Iran's overnight attack. So you can see the tall building behind me. That one took a direct hit from one of Iran's missiles, but that's not it. All of the surrounding homes in this area, the glass of the windows, the doors, the roofs have all been ripped off because of those shock waves. Right now, rescue teams and police officers are searching through the area, combing through the rubble and going door to door, trying to find residents who are missing. This as all of these homes for the blocks to come will need to either be inspected, which could take years, or they are uninhabitable. And residents tell me that they will be moved to a school for now for temporary shelter. 10 people are dead in Israel and more than 200 are wounded after Iran launched dozens of new missiles overnight. There are more questions here on the ground of how some of these missiles were able to get past Israel's defensive capabilities and make direct impact on homes, something that we had not seen in the recent two conflicts with Iran. And today, Israel is increasing efforts to hit Iran's energy industry and defensive ministry headquarters. In a rare move, the IDF today in Farsi is calling on all residents living near reactors in Iran to evacuate. President Donald Trump says that the U.S. had nothing to do with Israel's strikes last night, but he warned, quote, if we are attacked in any way, shape or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. Now, back here live in Bat Yam, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is currently here. He's visiting this site. Brett Baer will conduct an interview with him, which will air at noon, 12 p.m. Eastern time later today. You can catch that on Fox News. And as far as the residents who live here, we are seeing people come out of their homes carrying bags of belongings because, again, they will no longer be able to stay here. Some of them tell me when the blast took place, they thought that it hit their home. That's how loud it was. That's how much the walls were shaking, how much the ceiling was crumbling. So a devastating morning for those who are permanently displaced, but those I've talked with say they are simply lucky to be alive. Back to you.
So, Alex, we're just hearing right now from the IDF spokesperson that Israel has struck Iran. Your reaction?
Exactly. They're continuing to carry out these targeted strikes, saying that they're targeting Iran's military infrastructure and now some of the energy industries. There's also that warning, which is quite a preemptive warning, to speak to people in Farsi, telling them if you live near any reactor in Iran that you should leave, giving a potential indication of what the next target might be. Another thing that we're watching is the coordinated effort that we saw last night between Iran and one of its proxies, the Houthis in Yemen, launching drones last night. Israel says it continues to try to intercept some of the drones that are attempting to breach its airspace. So far, we've seen quite a response from Israel's air defensive capabilities to be able to shoot down all of those drones. But it's a situation like this, the widespread damage that we're seeing, that's raising questions of how these missiles were able to get through and specifically hit residential buildings, something that residents largely had felt that they would be protected of.
So just to be clear, Alex, where you are right now and where those missile strikes have hit, Iranian missile strikes have hit right there, there are no military installations. There is no strategic, there's nothing strategic there. That's purely residential.
No, there's nothing strategic here. This is a residential neighborhood. These are all apartment buildings, no individual homes. There's no nearby military headquarters or police station for that matter. So you could argue that these are all missiles that are being sent blindly with no targets. Israel is saying that these are directed specifically at civilians. We'll have to wait and see if there's a further response. But this is exactly what we saw a couple days ago as well, that residential buildings are getting hit in Israel. And what is shocking for Israelis on the ground is while they might have been used to going to shelters for rockets that have been sent by Hamas or Hezbollah from Lebanon before the ceasefire, they would go to the shelter and they would wait it out. But they were not expecting to see this kind of damage. And I know you can see these two buildings behind me and probably some on this side. But to give you more of an example, I mean, you could walk for blocks and blocks here, and every single window on every single building has been completely shattered. I'm standing in grass where there's pieces of the building. There's glass on the ground, and in none of these homes will be able to be habitable for the foreseeable future.
Alex, I read last night that the response from Iran has been dozens, upwards towards 100, but not hundreds of missiles at a time. They believe that Iran has thousands. Seeing that that's how many were fired, yet that many got through in the area you're in, is there a sense that the Iron Dome isn't as effective in some areas, or that Iran is targeting places that may not be as well protected? Or, are the people on the ground, you said they're beginning to worry, but is there any kind of narrative about how effective the Iron Dome could be? Israel did say that this response is less than what they expected.
Well, it's a great question, and that's exactly the question that a lot of residents are asking here and are demanding to know from the IDF and from the government. How was this possible? How was the airspace able to be breached? And it is also something that we want to explain to our viewers. So the air defense capabilities do not intercept everything that breaches its airspace. The first night of the attacks, 25% of those missiles were not intercepted. And this is a planned response. Israel won't always intercept these missiles because it can detect where they might land. If it's not going to land on an area that potentially could kill people, then they don't believe that it's worth intercepting that missile. They'll simply let it fall. Yeah. This was an example of how wrong that situation could have gone, for it to be able to fall on a residential building, an apartment building, and destroy this entire corner of the neighborhood. So I'm sure this is exactly the question that you mentioned, that all of these residents are going to be asking themselves: how is this possible? How did this happen to me? Where do I go from here? Where do I live now? But again, they're telling me they're just thankful to be alive.
All right. Well, Alex, great reporting. We're going to be coming back to you throughout the morning. So stay safe, and thanks so much for that excellent report.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.